Now we are going to talk about setting up our database. So in this chapter, we'll be setting up a Postgres SQL database using Vercel Postgres. Okay. Now, if you're already familiar with PostgreSQL and would prefer to use your own provider, this you can use Skip, this you can use whatever, like Supabase Postgres or Postgres installed in your machine, or SQL Lite, whatever you want to do, you go ahead and do this. But from this tutorial, they're actually using Vercel Postgres. That's an option. So that's what we're going to do, just to give you an example how this is going to work. So first thing what we want to do is we are going to create a GitHub repository. So if you don't have a GitHub repository, you can create one. So we are going to go to github.com. We're going to create new. I'm going to call this Next dashboard. Public. Everything's good. Let's go ahead and create this repository. We also want in Vercel, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here we're going to go to sign up. We're going to do hobby. We're going to say coding jutsu and continue. Okay, it's creating our project in Vercel, so you're going to give some time. All right, there you go. We are now going to go ahead and import our GitHub repository just created. So I'm going to go ahead and do git add and then git commit flag -m to commit my changes. So we have to do git push set upstream origin main. All right, so I just push all my code to my GitHub repository, and let's go back to our Vercel right now. And then I should be able to now import all the code right here. So if you go back to my GitHub repository right here, and these are all public, by the way, I will give the link in the description so you can actually download this for yourself. And then here you can see that in the dashboard of Vercel, we now have Next dashboard. So let's go ahead and import this one. And we are going to, right now, we'll have to just deploy it, and it's going to deploy our project into a Vercel instance. There you go. Congratulations. Our application is deployed. Now let's go to check this out. It looks like we have a not found. But I'm going to say npm run build should build me a production application right now and show me like if there's any error. So I'm going to do that. So as you can see here, creating an optimized production build. So I'll go ahead and run this one. It looks everything is good. Let's take a look at the build logs. There was no issue. Here you can see all these 3 check marks are there. So there hasn't been any issue as well. So let's go ahead and open this up. There is a warning about node version being 18.17.0. Let's take a look. Anything, there is a version of Next.js 14. And yeah, it looks everything's good. And let's take a look at the deployment summary. Now here you can see that it does say that no framework detected. I'm going to go to click here in the Next dashboard. This is my project. Let's go to settings. There is a framework preset. So let's go ahead and change this one from other to our project, which is Next.js. And let's go ahead and save this. Okay, so let's go ahead and redeploy our project. So let's see if we can redeploy this one. So I'm going to go to the deployment tab here. So, the first one, the current version, this is the production version of it. So I'm going to click on this 3 dot, and there is our option for redeploy. So let's go ahead and redeploy this project. All right. So now you see that it is now ready and we can see a screenshot. So let's go ahead and click on this visit. And there you go. Our application is now production ready. So let's go ahead and go to our dashboard, because it actually gave me a link that is just for the deployment, but we can actually go ahead and go to this domain and then check out those applications are ready. So we can actually go ahead and change this to, let's go dashboard like so, and we can see our dashboard page. We can go to our invoices, customers. There you go. All right, so let's keep going. Let's create a Postgres database now. Now, to set up a database, so let's go back to our Next.js here and click on the storage, connect store. We are going to go ahead and do create new Postgres and then continue. So I'm going to go ahead and accept this and then create. And this is the region, and the region I'm going to use the closest to me, right? So right now there is Washington, D.C., Cleveland, I'm just going to have Washington, DC. That's fine. So create and continue here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this. There you go. That's the tab .env.local. Now let's go ahead and navigate to my code editor, and here I'm going to go to our env examples file, and then instead of saying env examples, what I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this to just env, like so. And then of course I gotta check in my git ignore whether my .env is ignored. So that's .env is ignored. So I'm never pushing this sensitive information to my GitHub. And let's go ahead and copy this snippet. Let's go ahead, paste this, save it. Here we're going to say npm install. Now we are going to install SDK. So it's going to come from Vercel Postgres. So now that our database has been created, let's seed it with some initial data. This will allow us to have some data to work with as we build the dashboard, right? So let's go back to our code editor here. Here in the scripts, you see there is a file called seed.js, and this script contains the instruction for creating and seeding the invoices, the customers, the user, and revenue tables. Okay, to give you an overview, the script uses SQL to create the tables and the data from placeholder-data.js to populate them after they have been created. And this placeholder-data.js is under the lib directory. And we want to go to our package.json. And in the script, I'm going to go ahead and add another script here. And we are just going to call this seed. And here it's going to do node-r.env config. It's going to look for the scripts folder, look for the seed.js file, save. Now this is the command that will execute our seed.js. Okay, now let's go back to our terminal, and then here let's clear this, and we are going to simply just run that particular script, and we're going to say npm run sid, the script that we just created. There you go. Perfect. So we can see that in our console log, created users table, seeded 1 user, created customers table, seeded 10 customers, invoices table with 15, and revenue table with 12 revenues. Now, we want to learn about how we can explore our database that is sitting in our Vercel. Let's go back to Vercel and click data on the side nav. There you go. The side nav, we have something called data. In this section, we'll find the 4 new tables, users, customers, invoices, and revenue that we just created. If I click on here, you see that our users tables is here with just 1 user that we just created with this hash password. We can see our customers. These are the customers, invoices, and our revenue. I think there is 12 revenues in there. Now, we want to learn about how you can also execute. So with the browse tab, you can actually see what data is in your tables. But if you click on the query, you can actually run SQL query here. So for instance, if I put drop table customers, that will delete customers tables along with all its data. Okay, so we would never want to do that. So let's go ahead and run an SQL query. So what we want to do, we want to say select invoices.amount. Okay, so invoices table has an amount, and do customers.name. When you go to a new line from invoices table, join where the customers on invoices.customer.id is equal to customers.id. And this is actually going to be invoices.customer_id. And let's go to app library and then placeholder data, and you see that our customer ID is underscore customer underscore ID. And then go to new line here, and then we're going to say where invoices.amount. I don't want to see all the amount, so I'm going to say invoices.amount is equals to 666, and let's run the query. There you go. For the 666 amount, there is evil rabbit. Now we have a database, we have some data in our database. Now let's talk about how we can fetch this data and show it in our application. So let's go back